X-Pac 12360. Featuring weekly news, insider commentary, and interviews with superstars, past and present from the world of pro wrestling.
A new day is dawning for DX.
And now, your host, Sean X-Pac Waltman.
Welcome to X-Pac 12360, everyone. I'm your host, X-Pac. Joining us a little bit later on, honored to be joined by the new IWGP World Heavyweight Champion, Kenny Omega. Yeah, looking forward to that. Actually, we already did it. We're going to play it out of order.
Secrets, guys.
I don't care. I'm not afraid to tell all the secrets.
He just always lets it be.
Yeah, but first we're gonna talk about a few things, and one of them is pretty sad, and that's the death of the greatest big man ever, as far as like super heavyweights go, Leon White, aka Big Van Vader, and wow, really sucks.
I imagine you probably had some number of experiences with him.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did. I knew Leon, and I'm just going to talk about Leon when he first started. He went to Brad Rangan's wrestling school in Minnesota and started out in AWA, and he was right up their alley as far as like somebody he wasn't an amateur wrestler, but he had that real legitimate like sports background. That, and just the fact that he had a legitimate background and like a world-class athlete, NFL, and he would have been like one of the top draft picks if he wouldn't have torn his I think he torn his ACL.
Yeah, he was a dominant football player.
Yeah, and my first memories of Leon were as Bull Power, like baby Bull. Wow. Leon White, and my first time seeing him was when the AWA was doing their TV out of Las Vegas at the Showboat Arena, and obviously he was really really new and really green, but you could just tell, oh my God, and he had that baby face when he didn't have facial hair and all that.
Sure.
Yeah. So like he figured out, okay, it's a good idea, maybe grow a beard and get a funny haircut and everything.
It worked out.
Yeah. So like then the next thing I know is as I'm reading about him in the Observer, back when that was all you like. There was the Observer and
Publications,
Torch and Leon was outside of like WWF and WCW, like he was a guy that was a world champion in Japan, Europe, and North America, specifically Mexico, all at the same time. He was that good, and I think he won the CWA world title from Otto Vance, or it might have been Rambo. I can't remember. Doesn't matter who he won it from. Just that he was a champ. He was thought of like highly enough to where he was the world champion for 3 different companies at the same time.
And 3 times in Japan,
yes.
IWGP. I mean, that's, you talk about international star.
And I don't know if you ever saw his debut as Vader in Japan. It was against Inoki.
Oh my God.
And it was just like, he just came in and went behind Inoki and just German suplexed him. Well, it was like a kind of a jar. He didn't have the bridge, but I mean, right out of his shoes, right on his head, and like that was it. Leon or Inoki was out, and if Inoki was down selling for you like that, the last time he ever sold for anyone like that was Hogan, when Hogan hit him with the axe bomber, like and he was out cold. I don't know if you ever saw any of that stuff, but
some of Inoki stuff, yeah.
Yeah, but anyways, Inoki or Vader was just he was the man, like he said, and people talk about Leon and Bam Bam Bigelow, and Bam Bam was technically a little bit better in the ring, and he wasn't like he was the guy that you could go out there and work with him, you wouldn't feel a thing, and he looked like he was for the most part, looked like it was hurting you. But also, there was some things about Bam Bam's work where you could see that it was kind of light, and Leon was, you know, he was a lot more hard hitting, and you know, he'd hurt guys every once in a while, and you know, mainly just rough the guy up, and like me personally, I don't have a problem with that. Like, you know, you're not crippling somebody. That's just me. I never minded like getting beat up like that. I think that Leon was a much bigger draw because he had that, he's going to go out there and hurt somebody, you know, reputation and just that aura about him. He was hurting guys sometimes, and it looked like he was hurting guys all the time.
Yeah, and the stuff he did too, you know, obviously he was a quote big man.
Yeah.
He was an athlete first. And for 6'4", 370 pounds, to do the stuff that he did is unreal.
Yeah. And also he could go like and go and go. You never saw Leon blow up in the ring very often. At least I can say I've never seen it. Never. It was, and it might have had something to do with the fact that he lived at like 8,000 foot elevation in
Could be
the Rocky Mountains or something, but I'm sure that had a little something to do with it.
Makes a lot of sense.
But even still, like, you know, a guy that big, being able to do the things that he did, and just, you know, like guys half his size couldn't hang with him a lot of the time.
Yeah.
You know, and my experiences with Leon were always pleasant. Like, I've seen him be a little bit cranky, like, to say the least at times, but like when you're a guy like that and like his size and like the health issues he had to deal with at you know, after a certain point, man, it makes you a bit grouchy. You know, and Lord knows, like I've been at least as grouchy as I've ever witnessed him being. So, and he really was actually a really wonderful guy, and you know, toward the end there, you know, he talked about, you know, his health issues, and he was actively campaigning to be in the Hall of Fame, and it's really sad to me looking back now that you know that he wasn't inducted while he was alive. It makes me really sad to think about that. You know, people, you know, we never think. It's just another one of those cases where you go, you know, there's always next year. But there isn't always next year.
Unfortunately, with him, we knew he was having health issues. None of us knew the extent because he was keeping it fairly close to the hip.
Yeah.
You know, he had pneumonia, but he also has battled leukemia. And look, once you get diagnosed with congestive heart failure, you're somewhat on borrowed time. It just depends on how bad it is. And for him, his body had been through so much.
Yeah.
So
anyways, you know, obviously, condolences and that for his family, for his son Jesse. Very cool guy, Jesse. I don't know if you'd ever met Jesse White. I met him in FCW before it was NXT down in Tampa, and anyways, sincerest condolences.
he'll be
from the
missed.
bottom
And
of my heart.
obviously, wrestling is immensely better because of everything he did.
Yeah. So moving on, what do we have?
Well, we have some big news. Big Cass was released by the WWE. You know, there wasn't very many details given. No reports really, other than he was fired. Vince McMahon called a private meeting in SmackDown in Toledo, and they released him.
Yeah, I'm just based on like the one incident that everybody knows about, you know, with him beating up the little guy after they told him just, you know, and he was going against the direct order. That put him in the doghouse, and obviously, like when you're in the doghouse, it's easy to get a really bad attitude, really easy, and that goes for anyone. Like it's so important to maintain a positive attitude when you're going through that type of thing. And so, like, I've read some stuff. Okay, there was an incident on a bus over in Europe where he knocked the door off the bathroom. So, you know, maybe somebody locked him in. Maybe the door was just, you know, Who
Do you
knows?
think that maybe it was a culmination of a bunch of different things? Because I know there's rumors that, well, I don't know what the truth is to these rumors, but there
Yeah.
are rumors on the internet saying that there's alcohol involved.
Yes.
He wasn't popular backstage amongst the guys. You know, he's a very outspoken Trump supporter, which, you know, everybody's granted their own political opinions and whatnot, but apparently he was very, very outspoken, which I'm sure might have irked some people, obviously. So I don't know if this was just a combination of different things or if it was something specific that triggered this outcome.
Yeah, I think it's just like, you know, the things I read. Okay, yeah, it was time to go, even before like any kind of like, you know, public intoxication, whatever happened. Okay, that all just kind of, you know, was the straw that broke the camel's back type of thing. Here's the thing. The open market for wrestlers, professional wrestlers, is a fairly healthy market, and I think he's going to do fine once he gets out on that market.
I mean, we're going to talk to, you know, the IWGP Heavyweight Champion in just a little bit, and, you know, maybe that's an option for him as well. And I don't think it was in ring performance. In my opinion, I enjoyed the character that Big Cass had become, and I enjoyed him on the microphone, and I thought him and Daniel Bryan put some great matches together. So like you said, it has to be something else.
Sure.
To be that abrupt.
And I can see you know, a Big Cass and Enzo Amore reunion on the Independence happening. I can see it. I mean, I don't know. I think there might be a little friction between the two. I'm not 100% sure, but like, you know,
If there is, Enzo will say it in a rap song. So
yeah,
But if there's friction, it can easily be put aside to make some money.
absolutely.
You know.
Yeah, absolutely. So, okay, yeah. I honestly, it seems like it was time to go. It
Who would have
really
thought
does.
Carmella would be the only one left
You
out of the
know?
three? That's what everyone's talking about.
When she was put with them, everyone's like, "Oh, why is she with them? Enzo's the star, or like Kaz is the star." Now she's proven that she's the star. She's the
Yeah.
champ.
Yeah.
it's crushing it.
Big Cass will come out okay on this.
If he chooses a different path, he definitely has the looks to be an actor. And I heard he can sing fantastically. He's got that 7-foot look. He can
Well, look,
definitely play the James Bond bad guy.
They always say if you want to go the Hollywood route, you got to be typecast first. Well, there aren't many 7-footers who have his look, so he can be typecast in a number of things if he wanted to go that route. So,
Well, I don't know. Any other thoughts on Big Cass?
Well, I just can't wait for the details to come out, honestly. I know it's kind of sad to say, oh, I can't wait for the details to come out, but I am very curious at what caused this abrupt decision.
Okay. Well, let's move on to other things here. What do we have?
Well, we also had Money in the Bank this week and NXT Takeover, so it was a very impactful night of wrestling. What were your guys' thoughts?
Let's talk about NXT.
boom.
Because honestly, that's the show of the two shows that I paid the most attention to from top to bottom, and the opener, the tag match, Orny. I'm gonna have a hard
It's
time.
hard to
Help me
say.
out there.
It's hard to say.
Say it for me.
Oni Lorcan.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Danny Burch. Yes, against the Undisputed Era, and wow, that was a hell of an opener. Right?
Yeah, the crowd was super into it. It was very solid, very fast-paced, hard-hitting, and I feel like Oni Lorcan shined. Out of all of them, they all did great,
Yes.
but I feel like I was noticing him a lot more. Where I was like, wow, like why haven't I given much more love to this guy? This guy is great.
Because he's not flashy. They talk about the Revival being throwbacks. So are Lorcan and Burch. They are complete throwbacks, and they're awesome.
And I really enjoyed the finish going into that, and you know those guys won, but you know. Those guys. Undisputed Era won, but man, Burch and Lorcan
Yeah.
came out looking pretty damn good.
Yes,
They
did.
got a standing O
Yeah.
at the end of the match. And
Yeah.
that being the opening match, I'm sure everyone thought, like, how is the rest of the show going to follow this? And then the next match is Ricochet versus Dream.
Yeah.
And it seemed like every match on NXT just got better.
They always do. I mean, it's as general rule I've noticed, and I said this to Triple H. I'm like, every NXT takeover you guys do follows or tops the one before it, and every match on NXT Takeover follows or tops the one before it. That's a general rule. I mean, you could go and find exceptions to that if you want to nitpick what I'm saying right now. But generally speaking, that's the case, and that's amazing.
And you feel the love from the entire arena. There's no beach balls. There's no stupid chants. There's no waves. They are in it from start to finish, and they should be.
And, okay, so Ricochet and Velveteen Dream.
Just the entrance alone. Dream's gear coming out dressed like Hogan with Prince Puma style pants, and then the Hogan Rock situation with the two of them in the stare down in the ring. Everything was great.
Yeah.
Can't believe that this is their only first encounter and how amazing it was. And I hope this is a long feud that we see.
And it was an excellent match. And I have one issue with it.
Okay.
It was the Bandera spot they did. Because I hate that goddamn spot. You know what I'm talking about?
Which
Where
part?
the guy's on the far corner, and the guy just, lines himself up and comes charging and takes the little backdrop over and lands on his feet on the apron.
Right.
Gee, never saw that coming 1,000 miles away. Can we, tighten that up? Please, everyone? That's my only complaint about that. It was the only thing that brought me out of it a little bit.
Sure.
And I'm not sure if you know what spot I'm talking about. It was fairly early in the match.
It's just very showy. When it's not
it just
necessary.
took it out. It took me out of it a little bit because I was really caught up in it. And mind you, they got me back quick. But that one little thing, everyone, that are actually pro wrestlers listening to this right now, those little things, man.
Yeah.
They make a huge difference. And I hate I hate to be critical of that match because it was so good. And that was my only point in that match where I was like, eh.
What would you have done differently?
I wouldn't have done it.
Yeah.
Just taking it out altogether.
The whole fucking, the whole Bandera thing usually looks bullshit anyways.
Is that in your tackle drop down category?
Kind of, yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
It's so routine looking. It looks like a compulsory, it's supposed to be compulsory. Got to do one of these in the match.
Right.
No, you don't. There's other ways of getting shit done. Always. So, anyways, God, I hated to say that about that match because it was so good.
The rest of it was great. And look, Velveteen,
Yes.
it's hard to believe the guy was born in 1995. I think within 2 years, he's going to be world champion, whether it's at NXT or on the main roster. I think he's that good. He's that captivating.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And what else?
Well, we also had Nikki Cross and Shayna Baszler. What did you guys think of that?
Yes. Okay.
Nikki.
Okay, look. After Dream and Ricochet, I was like, boy, this next match is a really tough spot. They followed it.
Those ladies are great, man.
They did a great job. They brought it in another direction, like needed, like that spot needed, and the people were there, and the match. It was an excellent match. It really was, and both of those ladies.
Yeah.
Hands up to both of them.
I mean, Shayna has come leaps and bounds, and she's such a great champ right now and such a great heel. But Nikki Cross, man, I'm finally glad she's in a main event spot. I think they missed a chance to have Sanity hold all of the titles at one point in NXT. I think that could have definitely happened. But Nikki Cross is such a great performer, man, and that was really fun. Her smiling as she's getting choked out. Oh, man, come on.
I liked that she started off with the mind games because I thought that it played really well with the story. And, for me, I think it's always great when, you ask people, because I watched NXT a day after, and I went on and I was like, hey, guys, what should I be excited about? And one of the first things that people were like, it's the women,
Yes.
and that's really great to hear. So I was like, okay, great. I'm looking forward to this.
Yeah.
I wish they would have did the arm lift. They need to bring back the arm lift.
Yeah, it was
The
surprising.
3-arm lift. Because, she's out. Oh, okay, the ref says she's out. She's out. Wait a minute. You're not going to check to see if she's out? That was my.
That would have just,
match.
added to
And
the
I love
drama.
Shayna's gear. Shayna's gear was amazing.
Yep.
I liked it a
They
lot.
just I think. Do they do the three?
They
the
don't
check the
do
arm
it
at all
anymore. They
Anywhere?
don't. That's why it's.
Yeah, and I get it though. The thing is, Jimbo, is we kind of know now because of MMA. That's not how you do it. So we got the people that have adjusted to MMA being a thing now. The people that have adjusted their in-ring style to that are the ones that are doing much better now, I think. And that's the type of thing. It was great. It created a lot of drama. The check the arm thing, but it just doesn't. It's not how we do it.
Sure.
If somebody's choked out, they're choked out. And yeah. But okay, what next?
Aleister Black, Lars Sullivan. I thought that was really good. I love Aleister Black. I can never get enough of Aleister.
It was so good.
Mm-hmm.
I can I forget, was it Cage Side Seats or somebody like, oh, there was this botched spot in the match. I didn't see it that way. It wasn't like this big botched spot. Like did he miss?
He missed the fade to black kick.
Yeah.
Which was the ending of the match, and it was so crucial, and it was just a really bad camera angle. And I think what made it worse was that Lars bumped off it. So like he whiffs the kick and he turns all the way around, and you see Aleister kind of like push him like you're supposed to fall, and then he falls. And then you could see them talk like, well, what do we do? Just do it again. So they just did it again.
I think they did a good job of it.
Sure.
Yeah.
But the camera cut makes it like they did a good job, because the first take was like, oh, he didn't even touch him. But the camera cut of it makes it look like he kind of connected.
Hey, things happen.
Yes.
And if like, okay, and I know like some people like, they're always just going to go with that way of reporting things. Like, you know, let's focus on this botch instead of like how great the
one
actual
bad
whole
thing in
match
this
was.
entire-
Ugh.
And you know more than anyone, professional wrestling's a game of centimeters. I mean, nothing's perfect. And the way they did it, that match, it didn't take me out of it at all.
Me neither. And okay, look, do you remember Ali? Well, we weren't alive then, but Ali Liston from Clewiston, Maine, the Phantom Punch.
Yep.
Like, you know that. Okay, so it could have hit him.
Yeah, things happen.
Yeah. So
And then
I don't know if that was that great of a thing to compare it to, but
it's a fun comparison.
I'm trying here.
It's a fun comparison. Chicago Street Fight went, boy, oh boy, I think of almost a full 40 minutes. And just when we think, how can they top their last one? Like you said, God almighty, they managed to do it.
I forgot, like, that match, like, because I watched things out of order a little bit, and I'm like, as soon as, you know, Black and Lars Sullivan match was over, I was thinking that was the end of the show, and that was the main event. Ooh. And I was like, okay, that was just fine. If that was the main event, I would have been happy with that. Oh. I really would have. And then, okay, those guys went off, you know, went out there, and hey, like, they topped their last one, and just the finish was just like, what the, you know?
Yeah, I think the finish was the part that I was like, you know, usually you see the finish coming at times, you know, and this one was just so out of the blue where, you know, you have Johnny Gargano dominating, and then all of a sudden Tommaso Ciampa, and then just like, it was crazy. Yeah. But one of my favorite parts about this match actually was how personal this match got. You know, Johnny's wife was involved, and one of the parts that I thoroughly enjoyed was when Tommaso Ciampa took off Gargano's ring, spit on it, and threw it in the crowd. I was like, oh, that's a dirty one. I'm sorry, that's crazy, you know. So I really liked that aspect, and that they also incorporated the storyline into their match, and that was brought out. This was fun. It was a lot of different aspects. I liked it the second they started. You know, they had the crutches. They were ready to go. They're like, I'm gonna kill you.
And okay. As opposed to, because you were there at NXT Takeover WrestleMania, right?
Yeah.
The crowd in Chicago, 1,000 times better, right?
They were in it from the beginning.
Yes.
Yeah.
There were no like lull spots in the match, right?
Yeah,
like there was in New Orleans.
Definitely.
Yeah. So great. It was really cool that they got to do that match in Chicago in front of that crowd, because there is no better crowd.
And they took the hearts out of people. When Tommaso's on the stretcher, you're thinking, oh my God, we're feeling almost bad for Tommaso. And next thing you know, and thank God, I love seeing a DDT used as a finish again. That was brilliant. Just out of nowhere, bam, on the wood, and then all of a sudden Tommaso wins.
I think that was my favorite part, was cutting up the ring and opening it, but then going and telling the backstory of like, last time when we were here at TakeOver, we fought over here, and I had to teach you a lesson, and just showing from their first encounters of like fighting at the announce table all the way to where you forgot about that they opened the ring up and the boards were exposed. And then right when he hits the DDT, you're like, oh no, those are open boards. Oh, that's the finish. It was really good. I love the whole story.
Yep.
Yeah.
Gargano's mistake.
Hey, so is there a better heel in wrestling than Ciampa? Did I say that right?
Yeah.
I always worry that I'm going to pronounce that wrong. No, because he carries that. Like, okay, he's in that character, even in the back. Even when like I've interacted with him in the back, he's in that heel character mode.
Yeah.
And I dig that. No. It's like method acting, right?
Yeah, no one's drawing that kind of vitriol from. No one is right now. It's brilliant.
Yeah, and I mean we know we're being worked. At least I think. I don't know. Actually,
it's nice to
have. Is he really like a big giant piece of crap?
No, every time I've met him, he's always been such a good dude.
Okay.
At PWG, and his wife's amazing. And he really embraces this like, kayfabe of he'll show like the shirt he wore at Takeover, and everyone's like, "That's so awesome." He's like, "Yeah, you guys want it? Want it on WWE Shop? Nope.
Yeah.
Not gonna sell it because I'm a heel."
Yeah.
You know.
And
That's
so like
great.
he, you know, when we were talking, like, okay. What we're going to be talking to Kenny Omega about in a little bit.
I was like, how do we tie this in, but not tying this in?
Yeah, about keep it kayfabe, like they do in Japan. Even though people know the business is a work, they still keep kayfabe, and I think that's kind of cool. And I think that this is kind of along those lines. And I think the more people would take, like follow suit, like the better off they'll be on their own. Like, anyone that tries to, use this as an example of how they should carry themselves, on social media and outside the ring, just in general.
It's really old school.
Yes.
And that's what's great about NXT is they go back to the old school, and you have these, they just can't get enough of it.
Yeah. So, okay, that was an amazing show. And it's just like, okay, I could said that about the last one. You get kind of used to having these great NXT shows. What about Money in the Bank?
So Money in the Bank, first of all, a lot of people were talking about how this is one of the, in terms of pay-per-views for this year, this pay-per-view was one of the most solid, probably most people were very interested in. One of the things that I noticed personally about Money in the Bank that was different from past pay-per-views is that past pay-per-views, there was some matches where there was a lot of downtime. Yeah. Maybe you're like, okay, I'm not as into it, where there was different high and low points of the show versus Money in the Bank, which was something that kind of kept solid throughout the show, sustained its, excitement throughout the show.
Right.
Even though it was over 4 hours. A little long, but great show.
Isn't that how all pay-per-views are going to be now?
Guess
Starting
so.
at 4 and going 4 hours?
Yeah, I guess so.
I'm not going to consume 100% of every pay-per-view out there now if they're going to be that long.
Right.
But I just want to talk about Ronda Rousey and what an amazing job she did in her singles match with excuse me, with Nia Jax. Sorry about that.
You watched it closely as a performer of so many years. What are your thoughts of how far she's come along, and how surprised were you in that match?
She's better at the things that really count than people like people have been in the business for a decade that are doing well in the industry. Mm-hmm. Like all the in between. When I talk about like the things that somebody should study. Like when they're watching somebody's match, it's not the moves. It's the things that are done in between the moves. Or the expressions on the face. Like and you have to stay in the moment to be able to do all those little things and be able to be such a detail worker in there. And just like her emotions, like looking at her face in there, like when she's selling, when she's getting beat up by Nia in there. It's the level of detail involved in the selling is one of the reasons why like the match is so great, even though like, okay, technically they're on all these amazing moves, which there shouldn't be with her. Anyways.
She has that thing where not a lot of wrestlers have this, obviously, and this is given to her past and etc., is that the audience is so enthralled with her. They love seeing Ronda. Yes. She captivates it where even she could be in a match with the worst worker in the world, and you're still like wondering like what's Ronda gonna do next? Yeah. And the thing that you mentioned about her selling, it's impeccable, it's great. She made Nia Jax look like $1 million. But one of the other moments that I captured was when she was gonna go up to the top rope. You mentioned her facial experience, yes. her facial expressions, and I remember thinking like, okay, she's thinking about this. Like, I felt like I was getting into Ronda's mind where she was like, okay, I'm going to take this to the next level. I need to beat Nia Jax. I'm going to go up to the top rope. It was great. She made Nia look better than Nia's ever looked before.
And if you watch when she actually starts making her big comeback, towards the end of the match, watch how she does it. And she's not just waiting for the next thing to do to Nia. She's into it in the moment and going, come on, Nia, and just all the little things that she does and firing up. So it's so hard to teach that.
Wow.
So hard to teach that, and that is all the real money stuff.
She's got it.
Yes. And just the timing on her comeback, and oh my God, that judo throw.
Whew. And what about Monday night with Kurt's judo throw? I mean,
Yes.
she continued it Monday, and man, was that a fire segment.
Yeah, but the thing is Nia's got like 40 pounds on Kurt, so that's
True.
it was even way more impressive. Like when we think about it, like I've never heard them mention Nia's weight before, and I think that was like done on purpose this time just so you could see the size, disparity in size there. I don't know if we needed that though, because they didn't announce Ronda's weight, did they?
No.
You know, so I don't know how much I think we needed to hear.
You could tell by
looking, for crying out loud.
One of my favorite sells from the match at Money in the Bank was when she has her in the armbar and Nia picks her up and power bombs her.
Yes.
And Ronda rolls and falls out of the ring. And I was so happy with the sell because it looked so legit. Like if someone slammed you on the ground and you were trying to get your bearings back and standing up, you'd try and grab whatever to get back to your feet, and the rope wasn't there, and she just falls out of the ring. It was so believable.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think it's because she treats it like if it was an MMA fight? Obviously it's so important, wins and losses over there. So when she's there in the ring, she's not just playing pretend I'm a wrestler now. No, like I'm going to take this seriously sort
Survival.
of thing.
You got to survive in the octagon. She's trying to survive in the ring.
And I think that's why she has all these facials and things that Sean is pointing out, because she's so invested in the moment and is like, no, this is real to me.
Intangibles.
That's right. And guess what? Everything else, will be there when you get there. You got to concentrate on being in the moment. And God, if there's one thing I could really stress to guys and ladies out there in the ring is staying in the moment. And I know it's hard to do that when we've got a million things planned.
Sure.
But there's ways of doing that. I'm not going to get into it here. Don't want to
reveal all the secrets.
No trade secrets.
Yeah, intangibles go a long way. That's for sure.
Hey, did you guys notice my sweatpants?
They look really comfortable.
Yeah, these are from Mac Weldon, new sponsor. I just got my shipment in a couple of days ago, and these are the most comfortable sweatpants, legit, I've ever had.
Nice.
Yeah, and I'm wearing the underwear. I'll show you guys.
Okay, got him. Got him. Mac Weldon
For
up.
those of you listening, you're going to want to turn into YouTube.
These are the most legit, most comfortable pair of underwear and the best fitting underwear.
It's incredible. I got to go to the website.
Yeah. And help me out here with this then.
I will gladly. You continue and I'll help you out.
Yeah. So, and this is Mac Weldon and shit.
Basically, like Sean just said, Mac Weldon is better than anything you're wearing right now. I'm wearing your basic, I'm not going to say the brand, but picture your basic brand underwear. That's what I'm wearing. And now I'm jealous because obviously Mac Weldon, they have a mission to make you as comfortable as possible, and you're living proof of it right now.
Here's the thing is they gave some credit to order all this stuff, and they said, okay, they gave me enough money to order for 2 people, but I bogarted it all for myself.
Attaboy.
Yeah. So I got some socks, I got some underwear, I got these incredible sweatpants, and I also. Where is it?
They also have antimicrobial underwear, which eliminate odor. They have simple shipping. They have any kind of clothing that you're really looking for, any kind of undergarments.
And this backpack right here.
Boom.
That backpack looks awesome.
It is awesome, and it's really neat. It's not it doesn't. It's just really sharp and not overly You know, it's not gaudy. Like, you can wear it with anything.
Sure.
You know?
And it looks really compact, and it has all the pockets you need. It has a laptop pocket, it has a bigger pocket. It's ready.
And Mack Weldon makes it clear, no matter what you're doing, Mack Weldon has undergarments for you. Whether you want to work out, whether you have to go to work, whether you're just traveling, it doesn't matter what it is. It's going to be comfortable for you. And Sean, I believe we have a special.
Yeah, we actually have a promo code.
There we go.
People can order from MackWeldon.com, and it's MackWeldon.com/X-Pac. Do you need me to spell that?
I believe, I'll say it one more time. Mack Weldon, MackWeldon.com/X-Pac.
Yeah, and here's the thing. I'm really grateful to have Mack Weldon as a sponsor, and for all the listeners out there, if you buy something from Mack Weldon, and you show me a proof of purchase, a receipt. Like, I'm not sure how we're gonna do that, Jimbo.
Don't send a picture of your underwear, probably.
We'll definitely have them tweet us, or you can email us at xpac12360show. But show us that you actually purchased an item from Mack Weldon.
Show us the package. Hold the package up you get in the mail.
And if you do that, I'll send you an autographed picture.
Boom.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's sweet.
It's a win-win. You get an autograph from X-Pac himself, and if you go to MackWeldon.com/X-Pac, you're going to get a great deal.
That's right. That's Mack Weldon, MackWeldon.com/X-Pac, XPAC. Legit, man. This is the best. Like the socks, they're great.
Okay.
The underwear, they're great. Everything's great. I love it.
So make
and
it
please, look, you know, we haven't had a ton of sponsors, and you know, people don't want to, you know, we need you guys to support our sponsors.
Yes,
is what I'm trying to say.
Yes.
So please do, and I'm happy to send you an autographed picture if you do.
I'll be going today.
So that's MackWeldon.com/X-Pac. Thank you, Mack Weldon.
Of course.
Awesome to have you as a sponsor. That was a little bit rough, but we got it done.
We nailed it. No problem. So moving on, should we go into our break and then come back with the IWGP Heavyweight Champion?
Yeah, I'll be right back. Welcome back to X-Pac 12360, everyone. I'm honored to be joined right now by the new IWGP World Heavyweight Champion, Kenny Omega. Yeah!
Yes.
Hello. Thank you, everyone, for having me.
Oh, my God, man.
For a second time.
Yeah, no, I thank you so much for coming back on. I mean, it was great the first time we had you on. It's probably been like almost a year now, I think. But
it has been, yeah.
Yeah. One of the highest rated episodes we've ever had, Kenny. So I'm very grateful for that.
I didn't know that. Oh, thank you so much.
I think right next to Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Wow.
Jeez, well, I'm in good company then.
Yeah, really good company. Hey, man, Kenny, I just want to, before we go into other stuff, I just want to talk about that match you just had with Okada. Okay, a lot of people will say, okay, this match had this many stars. It's the greatest match of all time. Man, it's hard to argue with that stuff. Honestly.
Well, thank you.
Well, no, I mean, I'm just being honest, Kenny. I watched the whole thing, and I was really, really impressed with how you guys laid that out. 2 out of 3 falls. It went like 70 minutes, well over an hour.
The thing was 64 minutes and 50 seconds. The only reason why I know that is because all of the Japanese media is very conscientious about the time, and they've told it to me a million times over, so now it's actually implanted in my brain.
Yeah. How about that? Like when you man, I don't want to have you giving up trade secrets or show everyone how the sausage is made or however you want to put it, but but what goes into putting a 2 out of 3 fall match? Well, just let's say 3 fall match. Together like that, and pacing it, and deciding how deciding who's going to win the first fall. Even that's a very important thing.
I mean, yeah, it's a lot of thought and care went into all of that stuff, and it's not just okay, what moves are we going to do? What are the finishes going to be? Of course, that's all part of it.
Yeah.
But it's what story do we tell that complements the other 3 matches that we've done?
Right.
What story do we tell that leaves something open for a possible 5th match? Because even though we were never told that there's going to be a fifth match, I have a feeling there's going to be a fifth match.
So
I didn't want to blow everything in that match, and I wanted to leave it so that there is going to be another one. And I also still wanted to make it sort of based in reality, where this is sort of the be-all, end-all, and the match that decides which one of us is superior for at least this point in time.
Right.
But I didn't feel like we had to overkill anything, if that makes sense.
Sure.
And there are so many factors that go into it now that you mentioned it. Yeah, and I've really tried to carefully consider them all. The story surrounding the match, the story within the match, the story that happens before, the story that happens after. How do you kind of save your stamina throughout the falls?
Yeah.
And what should the falls look like? How do you make each of the three falls stand out from one another? And again, what if you, with the first fall, does that blow the finish? Or does that leave, did you blow too much in the first fall so the next one's not going to be exciting? Or, and following up on that, is the third fall not going to be exciting because you did too much in the first and second fall?
Yeah.
There's so much to go over, and I wanted each fall to look different enough from one another so that it did really look like three different matches. And I wanted all of the matches to make both of us look good. I wanted them to highlight our strengths as performers, and I also wanted this chance to not only kind of have callbacks to the other matches that everyone enjoyed, but to kind of also bring something new to the table. And there's some new stuff that we can definitely play off of for, Kenny Okada 5 whenever it happens.
Sure. Hey, when you something you just said there, it kind of stuck. It resonated with me. You were talking about not overkilling and having something for a possible fifth match. I always when I would put stuff together and people would say, "Oh, maybe save that for the next time." I'm like, "Don't worry, I can come up with something for the next time too."
Right.
I never had a problem with that.
Yeah. So the thing is, here I had so many great ideas.
Yeah.
And without spoiling anything, at the end of the day, there were two big ideas that I thought were better being built towards from this match rather than just blowing them in this match just to kind of secure a 7-star match. You know what I mean? Sometimes
yeah.
you know what I mean, right?
I do.
There's certain things where it's like, this is such a good idea, like people that's it. Like if we do this in this match, people are gonna love it. I had more moments like that in my mind, but I was thinking, wow, we could actually lay the groundwork for this idea with this match so that when we finally do it, it's gonna mean even more.
Yeah.
Not to say that I'm running low on ideas for Okada and myself, but I mean, man, we did that match 3 times in 1 year. We did it the one time this year in a best 2 out of 3 falls, so it's kind of like we did it 3 times already.
Yeah.
And there's a chance we might do it again. I don't know, but I want to definitely have every experience fresh for everyone,
For
rather
sure.
than like recycled stuff,
For sure. And I have a lot of faith in you not having any problem coming up with new and fresh stuff for your match with Okada coming up if it happens. But go ahead. Hey, you guys, I want you guys to chime in on this.
Speaking of new and fresh and keeping up with all these ideas and whatnot, do you feel any pressure having to follow Okada's, legendary reign?
No. I would feel pressure if there was the pressure to be a textbook wrestler, to be a textbook wrestler and have a textbook wrestler-ish run. Okada had that covered completely, and he had done things that no one else could really ever do. It was one of the greatest title runs of all time. Luckily, I'm kind of not the conventional wrestler, and a lot of my matches don't visually appear similar to one another. So my hope is to kind of have a very original-looking title run where I'm digging deeper into everyone's character and kind of adding layers to the people I work with. So that way, all of the defenses look different from one another. The matches themselves may even be different or original or whatever. So I don't feel like I have to fill Okada's shoes, if that makes sense. There will be, I'm sure there's going to be people who their character or their strengths are to perform in a classical wrestling way. And if that's the case, that's what I'll do, and then we'll have that kind of match. But I think that with our roster as deep as it is and the people I'll be working with, everyone has their strengths and weaknesses, and I'd rather highlight those and then kind of add an original flair to it, different from the other kind of champions that we've had in the past, so that even though people may not prefer my run over Okada's, I want them to kind of recognize it as something original and unique.
Well, speaking of
and hopefully enjoyable.
Oh, yeah.
Well, speaking of Okada's, reign ending, I was telling you a little bit before this show started was that one of the things that, after you won, we were so happy for you, right? But at the same time, Okada was such a great champion that you couldn't help but to sympathize for him, and having him being carried out was just so dramatic. How did that feel for you, and when you finally won the title?
Yeah, so the way that we tried to structure this entire thing, it really took a life of its own after the Tokyo Dome match. I purposely sort of, blew the tank in that match because I wasn't sure if I'd ever have the stage to have main event in Tokyo Dome ever again. So I really wanted to kind of put my best foot forward in a losing effort and go down in a blaze of glory. And because of that, I guess because of the way things have worked out and just sort of our natural chemistry together, it allowed for us to go back to that match, to revisit it, and it kind of became sort of a sportsman's feud where it wasn't so much about, it's Team Chaos versus Team Bullet Club or heel versus baby. It was more like, two natural athletes that are trying to one-up each other. And I think that's why at the end of the day, whoever loses is going to just barely lose, and you can't help but feel sorry for them.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I have a question. Obviously, everything's already been said about the match. 64 minutes, 50 seconds, your heart, your sweat, your blood, your tears. But 4 days afterwards, you became the Street Fighter World Champion, and that took a life of its own. I mean, you had WWE promoting this match with Xavier Woods and the New Day. How did that feel? Was that a surprise to you?
The amount of support that I had from their side was certainly surprising, and I'm thankful for it. We really went out and tried to do something new. Just like I was talking to you about before, of any of my defenses coming up, I really want them to be new and unique. I could easily just take this belt, come up with some kind of formula and a pattern for every match. I could take as many bookings in a schedule as possible and just kind of take a very wrestler approach to it. But I don't think by doing that, the name brand of New Japan Pro Wrestling and Kenny Omega, it doesn't expand at all by that. And I really think that we need to get out and explore other options as to how to make wrestling fun and cool again, and how to kind of introduce what we do to a brand new audience. And, gaming was a way to do that. And, the New Day, they have, well, especially Austin Creed, Xavier Woods himself, he has that really popular YouTube gaming channel, and he's always involved in anything gaming. And we sort of have the video gaming rivalry because we can't have an in-ring rivalry, being part of two different companies. And just the way that the worlds came together for that event, and to have the blessing of both companies and the support of both companies, overwhelming support by WWE, I thought was really cool. And sure, you could say at the end of the day it was just a video game, but it's a possible big game changer. We broke a lot of records with just that event alone. And I think it goes to show that all these companies and all these wrestlers, we can play nice with each other, and it is entertaining. And that's the type of involvement as champion that I want to have. Those are the kind of statements I want to make, not just by being in a ring and doing a house show, this place and that place and the other. I want to get out and do something. Anything that I do, I want it to have a very positive effect on the industry and our company and my brand.
How terrible was eating that pepper?
Oh, it's brutal because I'm not really good at spicy food to begin with, and I wasn't sure what to expect. And obviously it doesn't hit you at first, but when it does hit you, it hits you hard. And I was talking to Xavier after, and he's like, I don't know what happened, what kind of batch I was, but I've done this a bunch of times before, and this is the worst I've ever been by far. He was almost in need of real medical care. So I'm glad I didn't overdo it.
Would you have ate all 3 peppers if you had to, if you have lost?
Yes. Oh, of course. You have to if you have to. I'm glad Xavier called it off, and but I was ready to bite the bullet if we really needed to, and I'm of course at the end of the day I'm glad I didn't. But my second one I made sure to take a real small one, so I was already prepared.
Hey, so Kenny, what do you make of WWE featuring like one of your old Deep South?
Your match versus Crew Jones.
Yeah.
Right. For me, I don't know. It's kind of funny. I mean, I didn't really have too many Deep South Wrestling television matches so they probably had to dig pretty deep to find that in the archives. I mean, I'm totally cool with it. I thought it was cool that it was a feature, and it was even interesting for me to see because I remember at that time, just I learned so much, but I remember that as I was learning and sort of kind of developing a mental strength that I didn't have going into Deep South Wrestling, I remembered always being sort of very disappointed as to what I could display in my matches on TV or otherwise. So I didn't see the match. I do remember that Crew was real fun to work with, but yeah, I mean, if people enjoyed it or whatever, I mean, I'm happy. I think it's funny. It's always, I never really enjoyed any of my stuff until about the year 2010 anyway. So to go back that far, it's like, it's taken with a grain of salt. Like, of course it's going to be embarrassing.
When I saw it, I was like, okay, now I remember you being in developmental.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because it was just, you look so different. I mean, even though you could tell the same person, I mean, your look has evolved so much since then. But hey, Annie, like there was this one spot you did where there was a drop down involved, and the way you did the drop down was one of the sweetest drop downs I've ever seen in my life. Because I'm not a huge fan of dropping down these days. Like, and just it was the way you did it. It was. I'm pretty sure you know what I'm talking about, right?
I think it was. I might have done the old
like a leapfrog.
The Too Cold Scorpio drop down, where you jump high up in the air, so the guy has to actually literally jump over your drop down.
Exactly.
Wow.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah.
Yeah, and you showed a lot, and like even back then, you showed a lot of power. Like you showed that you had a lot more strength than people probably figured by looking at you. It's pretty impressive, diamond in the rough stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's just a fun journey back to the old days.
Are there any other promos or matches from Deep South that you would like to see in the network?
I mean, I had a lot of real wacky promos. I'm not sure which actually made the cut to TV or not, or which were saved or what have you. But I remember that I always had some pretty decent stuff against Sonny Siaki.
Oh yeah.
So we kind of usually lent more towards like the explosive, exciting style in the ring together, rather than what was mostly on their TV. So I remember that working with him was always kind of a fun change of pace.
Yeah. So I'm thinking about this like the WWE was supportive of the video game stuff with New Day and all that, and they're showing the stuff with you on the network. You think they might want to sign you? You think that might have something to do with
it? I don't know. Maybe putting the cart before the horse, but there's a chance that someone like me might be able to make their company some money. Who knows?
Maybe.
Yeah, just maybe.
Hey, Denise, real quick, let's talk about, because you have all the specifics there, let's talk about June 29th and the event that Kenny has coming up.
Well, yeah, so Kenny, I wanted to ask you, you have an event coming up, obviously, in conjunction with CEO Gaming, June 29th in Daytona Beach. I know you're putting it together, promoting. How has that been? What has the experience been like, and what have you learned from it?
Yeah, so I mean, I've had my own produce shows before in Japan, and putting those together was always fun, and I've always sort of made them a very original viewing experience, and I really wanted the chance to do that in America or Canada or wherever. I wanted to do more things like that, and I was glad to have the opportunity to do this, and that Alex Trebali, the promoter of CEO Gaming, was on board. It's something that we discussed for maybe 3 years already. So, there's definitely a certain amount of rules and guidelines you have to follow when we add the New Japan banner to it. But I really do think that we are adding a very original flair to the show that is going to look familiar to New Japan fans, but is also going to be something that you haven't really seen before, because it's going to have that sort of, world-class gaming sort of, gaming production quality to it. So it's gonna seem familiar to both sides. If you ever watched like a World Championships of an actual video game, the way that it's filmed and the way that it looks, the aesthetic is gonna it's a little different from what wrestling looks like, but it's still top class and top shelf. And I wanted to really kind of make that a marriage of both worlds, so that gaming fans that are also pro wrestling fans can see something familiar from both sides, and vice versa.
And can you give us a list of any of the talent that's going to be on the show?
Yeah, certainly. So I'll be on the main event. We'll be doing a tag. It'll be myself and Ibushi, the Golden Lovers, against LIJ members Tetsuya Naito and Hiromu. And there will also be a singles match between Rocky Romero and Jushin Thunder Liger.
Oh, wow.
I'm really excited to watch. Yeah, that'll be a fun one.
Wow.
Yeah. Some really new talent, not to the indie scene, but to New Japan. I'm really happy to get the clearance to use them. Jeff Cobb. He's going to be having a singles match. Yeah, he's going to have a singles match against fellow Bullet Club brother Chase Owens, and I'm really happy to see him in more of a singles role. He's got a lot he can show, and I think it's going to be a great match. We got Roppongi 3K as well, and they're going to be facing Taguchi and Dragon Lee, another guy that I was happy to bring over, and happy that we could get clearance to bring over. So he has a real exciting style. Taguchi is just a great wrestler, but also a great comedy wrestler. So he's got a very unique look to his matches. And Roppongi 3K, they've got also another great look, a great young junior tag team. And I think one of those guys is also a huge video game fan, which is a motivation for me to bring him out there. He's a avid DDR player, so he wants to enter a side tournament there. So
wow,
that sort of sold me on the idea of bringing him. Aside from that, we have Guerrillas of Destiny, Tama Tonga and T, and they are going up against Juice Robinson and David Finlay.
Oh, nice.
Man.
Yeah. So on top of that, we have I don't believe it's been decided as of yet, but we have a normal dark match with some local talent. And I'm also bringing my friend from Thailand, my friend from way back in the day in DDT. His name is Michael Nakazawa, and he's going to be doing an open challenge in the second dark match before we kick off the actual New Japan section of the show. And that's going to be real fun, because I've been wanting to show how entertaining this guy is forever. So It's going to be something to see for sure.
Well, it sounds like definitely a jam-packed show. And another jam-packed show that we just found out more details about is the G1 Climax. And I wanted to touch base on, just mention the Golden Lovers. What I want to know is, you're going to go up against Kota Ibushi. Do you think that it's too soon, or how is this going to play out?
Both of us think it's too soon. Both of us really had it in our minds that we don't want to revisit it unless it's the Tokyo Dome, because we get sort of too crazy with one another.
Yeah.
And we push each other's limits too far, and it's scary, especially Ibushi. And then I always feel sort of like I can't be in this guy's shadow, so I have to kind of meet his craziness, and that just kind of creates this endless circle of one-upsmanship. But that was back in the day. The first time we did a crazy match together was 2008, and then the next time we did in 2012. And I remember that after that 2012 match, we'd sort of made a vow to each other, like, hey, we went too far. We did too much stupid stuff. Like, if we ever do this again, we have to calm down, and we have to come up with a way so we can survive this thing.
So have you made it known to the powers that be that you guys think it's too soon?
Yes, I have. And, there are a lot of times when I can sort of veto situations like that. But this is a chance where this is a moment where they're both kind of like, the two bookers are like, oh, please, please, please. And they're bowing and begging for you to let it happen.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, man. At the very least, there's kind of the history where the first time we head back to Budokan, and the first time that there's been wrestling in Budokan, was since the 2012 days. So it's kind of, I don't know, there's sort of that inner hidden meaning behind it where, wow, the last time there was a main event here at Budokan, it was Ibushi and Kenny. So there's that cool little layer to it.
Yeah. Hey, Kenny, do you have a list of opponents you'd like to see challenge for the IWGP title?
That's a good question. I mean, I'd love to. It's going to sound so boring, probably, but like, I would love to wrestle Naito in an actual, championship capacity rather than just G1.
Right.
I'd love to wrestle Tanahashi because I feel that he was sort of always sort of the protected ace of the company, and he's getting run down and beaten down, and he knows that he's sort of on his way out of being the top 4 guy.
Right.
And I really want to have sort of a special moment with him, if it's possible. And I know he kind of hates me in real life, so
wow, really?
There's going to be that. There's going to be that, like, no, it's just like a professional jealousy thing. That's all it is.
Sure.
Not actually hates me. I love him, but we love to hate each other as well because they have very different views on wrestling.
Gotcha.
Well, wow. Kenny, I watched an old interview you did in 2014 on High Spots, and you talk about your goals in professional wrestling, and your goal back then was to be an established Japanese wrestler, not just a foreigner wrestling in Japan. When do you think you met that goal?
Sorry, what was that?
So you talk about how your goal back in 2014 was to be an established Japanese wrestler in Japan, not just a foreigner wrestling in Japan.
Right. Yep.
How do you feel you met that goal?
I mean, yeah. I mean, it's hard to say that I haven't. I've made not only Japan a place that I wrestle full time, but it's also kind of my home. I actually have to say I'm a resident of Japan. I pay all my taxes in Japan now. It's really become sort of my home for everything, not just my wrestling. So it's cool to sort of feel like, I am a full timer there, and the company kind of counts on me for this worldwide expansion as well. So to shoulder that responsibility also makes me really feel like I'm part of the team. So.
Hey, so Kenny, when you say you're a resident of Japan, is your address the Keio Plaza, or do you have your own? Like, do you have like your own flat there now?
Oh no, yeah, I have I have a room out there. So yeah, I'm not living in the dojo or anything. I had to have a room. So
is it at the Keio Plaza with all the gaijin?
No. Those guys all stay in the hotels, and they're there just for right when the tour starts, and they're gone right when it ends.
Right.
For me, I'll usually have extra stuff that's tacked on to what I do. So, for example, like I did 4 commercials last tour, so that takes up a full day for every shoot.
Sure.
And with the big title match coming, they're going to want a lot of media, so I have to do these other production stuff and a lot of interviews and all that. So there's a lot of things that I do on the side and extra stuff that it really requires that extra time.
And you already mentioned about, giving the title and New Japan worldwide exposure. You did that at E3. You're going to do it June 29th in Daytona Beach. 2-part question. Number 1, can people tune in? Is there an pay-per-view for June 29th, the broadcast? And secondly, have you had time to think about headlining the Cow Palace in just a few weeks?
Yes, there is definitely going to be a way to watch June 29th. It's going to be streamed for free on Twitch, I believe.
Wow.
And yeah, I mean, I really want everyone to see it. I want as many new eyes on the product as possible. And I want it to be a great experience for people that can't make it. So it will be available. And for Cow Palace, I mean, I've put some preliminary thought into it, but I definitely like to take things one step at a time. And, first things first, Daytona Beach. And there's still, that's June 29th. So I have a full week and then some to come up with, everything with the Cody match and beyond. And I'm sort of looking forward to kind of taking the next couple of days after that. There's going to be promotional stuff and all that I have to do with the gaming convention because I'm also heavily involved with that too. But after that's done, I still have a couple of days just to hang out at the beach and clear my mind and come up with what should the business of this match be.
Sorry. Touching on your Cody Rhodes match, I want to know. So during WrestleMania week, you guys had a killer match at Ring of Honor. I was on the edge of my seat watching that, and now again at the Cow Palace. What has your experience been like working with Cody?
Well, the bulk of it has been on being the elite show, and it's been nothing but super fun. Cody is a great actor, and I think that the tools that I love to work with Cody is that he has some of the best facials in wrestling, and his selling is very good. And any chance that he has to talk, he always nails out of the park. So I hope that there's a lot of opportunity for him to build this match with his voice as well, and to tell sort of the human side of the story. A lot of guys, especially nowadays, it's like, what do you have to work with? What's your best sort of feature? And it's usually, well, I'm athletic, or I can do this flip, I can do this, I can do that. And it's something very physical and physical only. Cody has a very sort of cerebral approach to everything, and that's a lot of fun for me to work with.
Well, also at E3, you got to see your first ever Funko Pop. What was that experience?
Yeah. I mean, I had seen the concept art and all that and how it would, generally look, but to see it in person, it looks so much better in person. They did a really good job with it, so I can't wait till it's released.
I think it comes out today and it's up for pre-order.
Oh, wow. Okay, well, that's awesome. Yeah.
So
get them soon.
And Kenny, pretty sad news today when I woke up this morning. Like, former IWGP Heavyweight Champion himself, Leon White, Big Van Vader, passed away. Do you have any thoughts on that and memories of Leon?
Yeah, I mean, terrible news. I was absolutely shocked when it happened, especially since he had just gotten through that crazy surgery where it was just miraculous that he got through it all. And it's just you can never be prepared for news like that. But luckily, all the memories I have of Vader when I had met him in person, they're all really, really pleasant. He was always a very pleasant individual. He was actually the reason I was able to get my first work visa in Japan, because they had a promotion in Japan for a moment in time where he was running shows every 3-4 months. And if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't have been able to legally work in Japan until actually signing with New Japan. So it was mostly because of Vader, I was able to legally wrestle and make money in Japan.
I was wondering if you ever thought about what kind of match you would have had with him.
Oh, man, yeah. It's funny you asked that because I had seen that Will Ospreay had sort of had heated words with Vader because of one of the matches that they had, and I thought, like, man, that sucks. I wish Vader could have attacked me and we could have had a match, because I really thought that we could have had an awesome match. Like, I love the idea of having very visually different kinds of matches with people, and I feel like I've yet to kind of have, the huge, like, little man, big man match where it's just a complete mismatch. And the idea of those are always very fun, and unfortunately, we don't have talent like that in New Japan where someone's just so massively enormous where you play that role. So Vader could have been just a perfect opportunity for that, and it's unfortunate. He would have been a real dream opponent.
I would love to see you in matches like that, Kenny, because, I mean, people always, like, when they would ask me, like, dream matches, they would always talk about other guys that work the same style as me or you, or, I mean, because, the smaller man style, and I was always, like, into working the big man, the David and Goliath style matches. I just think they're so intriguing. And you're such a powerful guy. Like, I think you could really shock a lot of people with the things you could do in there with some of these guys. There's nobody in New Japan, right, like that you have your eye on that are that's bigger like that might be ready in a few years?
We have Fale, but Fale is a Bullet Club guy, so it's like we couldn't really, we rarely mix together. I mean, unless it's like a weird tournament draw.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean that could be really fun. We used to use a guy who was enormous. His name was Strongman.
I remember him. I was in Mexico with him.
Yeah. So he would have been super fun to work with. But yeah, like we don't have anyone like Giant Gonzalez or Braun Strowman.
Oh
so.
yeah, no, that's a little much. But is there anything like Kenny? I'm really grateful. You obviously I've told you off air how gracious I think you are with your time. So we're gonna like wrap it up pretty soon here. So like let's go one last round to get all some important stuff out of the way.
After you won the title at Dominion, you and Matt Jackson had a moment before you got the title from the referee. What was said between you and him in that moment?
Well, I mean, it's funny. We'd created this storyline where we would all kind of go Splitsville, and we really pushed it to the extreme where we wouldn't be seen in public. We would only talk to each other in private. In the BT storyline, we were never in any scenes together. And the only actual sort of physical altercation we ended up having was the match at Long Beach. So we sort of worked ourselves into a shoot, brother, where we were sort of actually forced to live out this lie where we were at odds with each other. So for us to finally kind of come together, and in Japan too, it's another thing to mention, it's really kayfabe out there. Like, you can't just go out to a restaurant after the show because, hey, it's not the show anymore. You have to continue. You have to keep face and stay true to the angles. So we couldn't even hang out before shows, after shows, nothing like that, unless it was in private. And usually, I'm always tied up with whatever after the shows with media and all that. So even like after the shows in a just hanging out in a room, like, wasn't even an option. Or after a show, like, they're already getting kind of sent back to the nearest airport because they have to take a flight to the next ROH show. Like, we never saw each other. So for us to finally come together and have that as like our first moment where it's like, yes, it's okay to be friends again, it was really emotional.
Wow.
Well, my last question for you, Kenny, is actually a two-part question. So going back to the G1, I want to know, for most of the names that have been announced are, New Japan regulars. Do you think that the tournament would have benefited from some outside, from some other guys from other Japanese promotions? And then my second part to you is there somebody outside New Japan that you would like to face?
For me, it's always exciting to have that sort of dark horse or the unknown factor come into the G1 and then have them just be just a real cool sort of, wow, I had no idea the talent like this existed outside of these walls. And usually we do have, the one or two entrants that sort of add that to the tournament. And in the Best of Super Juniors, we have that too. But now it's just like we have so many guys that, to give up one or two spots just to someone from the outside, someone's going to take it personally, and then someone's losing out on work. So it's almost like we have to use our full-time contracted guys. But I always love having the outsiders come in. I always think it's important. I think it's cool. I think it adds a brand new layer and gives people excited to see the brand new original matchups that you would never get to see on a normal basis. So, maybe missed opportunity. I don't know. I still think it's going to be great, but if I was the booker, I would have probably called in somebody. As for outside New Japan talent, I generally think for Japanese guys, we really do have most of the best guys available. If there was an opportunity to face anyone outside of New Japan, and we're talking about domestic Japanese talent, there was one person that never had an opportunity to wrestle when I was in DDT, and this is going back like years already, but he's really good, and he's kind of blown up in every promotion aside from New Japan, and his name was Shuji Ishikawa. He's a real big guy, and real good. He has a very good, he's able to get into that sort of main event gear, so all of his main events are really exciting to watch, and I think that if there's a chance for him to do anything with New Japan, I'm sure would be pretty exciting as well. So if you guys don't know who he is, he's worth looking up, I would say.
Kenny, there's something you said a few minutes ago that I wanted to touch on, and you're mentioning how kayfabe works in Japan. Now, it's not that the general public over there thinks everything's a shoot, right?
No, that's not that. They just they really appreciate being able to suspend their disbelief with anything pro wrestling.
And it doesn't. And I think that I just think that we could do that here a little bit more.
I agree. It's not hard, really.
It's a bit of a pain in the ass. Like, you don't get to travel with your friends or this or that, and
right.
You don't get to go out and hang out at the Korean barbecue afterwards or. But but I really think that's a big part of why things are healthy and wrestling's healthy in Japan again right now.
No, I can totally agree. And that was part of the. I would say it was a big part of kind of what made the story between myself and Jericho so cool. It was that we really blurred the lines.
Yeah.
And when we were doing our thing there, they'd never really seen stuff like that. I mean, something as simple as just a press conference brawl.
Yeah.
They hadn't seen that in years. And it's just so simple and so, like, really old school. But when you have them convinced that you're really fighting the guy, it goes a long way.
Yeah. Yeah, that's all. I just wanted to bring that up because you mentioned it, and then it got glossed over because I had a brain fart. I was going to ask you about that as soon as you mentioned
No worries.
it. But yeah, no, I think I think that's great, and it would be nice if we could start doing that here a little bit more. Like, I don't think that it's too late to like. We can go in reverse a little bit, and like. Push close the curtain again a little bit. I think.
No, I agree. It wouldn't be tough, and it just takes. All it takes is just small steps, right? I mean, you as soon as maybe at first it's just your one big main event match, and then you start adding in the other storyline matches to that fold. And I don't think everyone has to be in a blood feud or at odds with each other, but I think the matches that you really want to be taken seriously. Yeah, I mean, it would help for that layer of realism to be added to the fold.
Absolutely, and that's all I wanted to bring up. And if we're gonna let you go, but is there any last things that you guys want to add?
I just wanted to say, I think they say timing is everything. I think you becoming the IWGP champion, the timing really is perfect. Not just the E3 and not just the Cow Palace. I think you becoming champion, it's really a testament to not only you as a performer, but as an individual. You talk about wanting to grow the brand. There's nobody that can grow the brand like you. And I think the next year and beyond is going to be incredible for New Japan with you holding that title. So just congratulations from all of us.
Oh, thank you so much.
Yes, ditto.
I'll try my best. Yeah.
Thank you, Kenny. I appreciate you coming on, man. It's an honor to have you on the show, and just congratulations, man. You deserve everything and more.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me, guys.
No, thank you.
Thank
man.
you.
Have an awesome
Thanks
rest of your day, my friend.
All right, see you guys.
All right, Kenny
Goodbye
Omega.
and good night.
Bye.
Yeah.
Bang.
All right. Cool. We're going to take a break right now. We're going to come back. All right, we're back, and want to thank Kenny Omega again. I really appreciate him taking his valuable free time to come on our show, and thank you guys for helping me out with the interview, for coming up with some of the all the little details that I'm not aware of.
Hey, it's always great being here, and Kenny is the man. Yeah. That's for sure.
Yeah. So Jimbo, before we go, let's tell everyone where I'm going to be this weekend.
Well, this weekend you'll be in Des Moines, Iowa for Impact Pro, Saturday the 23rd. It's a free show, so definitely if you're in the area, go check it out. Information at facebook.com/Impact Pro Wrestling or impactprowrestling.com.
Not to be confused with Impact Pro Wrestling.
Exactly.
I wonder if that's helped or hurt their company.
All right. Well, hey, thanks again, you guys.
Thank you.
And lady.
Yeah.
I appreciate it. And thanks to everyone that tunes in every week. Really grateful to everyone out there. And we'll see you right here next week on X-Pac 12360.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, Sean Waltman, producers Mark B. Donica, Jimbo Frank, Christy Olson, and the entire X-Pac 12360 staff, we would like to thank you for tuning in. Like us on Facebook, rate and comment on iTunes and YouTube. Follow X-Pac on Twitter @TheRealXpac and email us at xpac12360show@gmail.com.
The Westwood One Podcast Network.